If you would have asked me 3 years ago if I would write another book, I would have turned around and said, absolutely not. Somebody this morning said, are you going to write another book? And I told her, please slap me if I do another book. But joking aside, writing a book is very much like giving birth to something very special. For a long time, I had this seed implanted in me, this idea about incredible women of the world. And it was really like incubating in me for a long time. And just like a baby, it takes a few months for it to really come to fruition, where you feel like you're ready to sit down and go through the labor pains. And what are the labor pains? Is a lot of research, a lot of writing, the edits and the re-edits, and the re-edits were the most painful, let me tell you. But at the end of the process, what you have, or what I found I had, was an expression of myself and something that I really wanted to share with everyone around me. All writers, I'm so sorry if somebody can turn off their cell phone. All writers write because they have a question to ask themselves. And for me, the reason why I started writing Pioneers of the Possible began on a train ride that I was taking from Washington, D.C. to New York around 2 years ago on my last book tour. I had recently read this research that the number one reason for social transformation is by personal example. And a light bulb went off in my head. That meant that other people's lives can become such a powerful vehicle for growth and change for ourselves. And if we really take a moment to think about our own lives, I am sure that along the way there were special women that really encouraged us to be who we are, to grow into who we want to be, and that is the most important thing. As a matter of fact, what I started thinking is that as women, we really should have a wider choice and a bigger spectrum of people, these incredible, extraordinary women that can inspire us and hold the mirror up to us to encourage us to find our own personal source of genius and dedicate ourselves to it. And that's how I started writing Pioneers of the Possible. So I want to go over some of the things that I learned through doing this research on the book. For me, one of the primary motivations for writing this book was not only writing about the biographies of these women, but really my training in psychology came forward in the sense that I really wanted to discover what was it that made them so successful? What was it about these incredible women that they were ready to go past confinements and different constructs of being who they were, and then really came into something that was very impossible at the time, but they were ready and had the courage to break ground and move past those confines. So I want to give you some examples of the women that are in the book. Can you imagine that a penniless nun in the far reaches of Taiwan that has had only a 6th grade education is now one of the founders of the biggest movements in Buddhism with 10 million followers? That this nun, who has never traveled outside of Taiwan, now gives over $300 million a year to emergency care provisions all over the world. Someone who, by her sheer force of vision, and also with her sheer force of excitement for what she was doing, has enabled other people to help her in her vision. And she has founded Tzu Chi Foundation that is close to $1 billion in endowments and $350 million in annual giving. Now, how does Master Chang Yen, and I have to tell you, this woman was a gorgeous woman with very, very long hair, and at the age of 18, she ordained herself as a nun, and shaved her own head, which is, usually a man priestess does that. But how is it that now the biggest leaders, the biggest business leaders who are men in Taiwan, all over the Far East, are bowing down to her? There must be something special about her. And how does her philosophy compare to that of Simone de Beauvoir or Frida Kahlo?